What is the craziest encounter of rich kid syndrome that you have experienced? My college roommate's mom gave him fucking $1,400 for the weekend just randomly. He blew through the whole thing by Saturday. Asked his mom for more money and was screaming at her because she promised $1,400 for the weekend. And he spent most of what she gave him on Friday, which isn't a part of the weekend. Girl at work told me she hated her dad. I asked why. She said he keeps asking for money since she used his credit card for a Euro trip and left him an 80 grand bill from last year. First day as a librarian in a private school. Help a 7-year-old with the printer. He offers to tip me. Twins in high school. Birthday. I think it was 17. They get matching pickup trucks. Like the souped up larger than life cool as fuck looking black ones. Twin A is the brat and smashes his in some remarkable time frame. I want to say same day. It was crazy though. Parents decide not to get him another one. Though I'm sure insurance probably covered it even if it was his fault. But regardless, he is going to learn a lesson. The lesson: take Twin B's truck. He's the responsible one. And crash it on purpose. If he can't have one, neither can his brother. So much for recklessness, spite, and downright illegal in what he did. When I was in college, a friend that was heavy in the frat life told me about a freshman that got kicked out for having a servant flown to town to do the hazing chores he was supposed to do. One time a college dorm mate next door was stressing his dad hadn't yet given him money for the month, and $1,000 wasn't going to last him for the week. Meanwhile, I'm having to donate plasma to afford my next meal. Life just be like that. Teacher here. 2 spring to mind. My first teaching job was at a private middle school in one of the wealthiest enclaves in the United States. I taught a kid who told me he didn't finish his homework because his helicopter had stalled over the weekend, so he couldn't leave his family's island. He was telling the truth. Same kid was also a huge pain in the ass who wanted to misbehave with the cool kids, and then would lie through his teeth while crying when held accountable. His parents knew he was a jerk, and cared enough to bring me a case of wine from their vineyard as a gift every parent-teacher conference or before the holidays, but they didn't care enough to discipline their kid. I now teach at a private school in Europe, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked by how many parents are happy to pay $35,000 per year to dump their kids into boarding so they can do fuck all as students and repeat grades 1, 2, 3 times because they don't make any effort whatsoever. A 14-year-old in full volume cursing meltdown. Where the fuck is he? Because the pilot of the private helicopter that had brought him there had gone off to get a cup of coffee. The kid was done skiing for the day and found it totally unacceptable that he had to wait 10 minutes before he got flown home. I was that poor kid who ended up getting a scholarship to a ridiculous private school. The one thing that stood out massively for me was probably how much people cared about what everyone else's parents did. Like your parents' achievements counted for yourself. My daddy just bought a new plane. Yes, a literal statement. So what does your dad do? When I replied fuck all, they laughed and thought I was being cool about it. There was this rich kid in our class who was literally disgusted by us buying used stuff like computer parts on eBay. Once during conversation I said I bought on eBay a memory module for my PC, and he said to me that I should have little dignity, and if I buy used stuff I should keep it to myself. There's a lot of rich kids in my particular business program in university. I met this girl a few months ago at a social. We were chatting a bit about our program and she proudly told me about how she threatens to sue the school whenever things don't go her way. She also said something to the effect of, they have to take the threat seriously because they know I actually have the means to follow through. Haha. While working as a house cleaner, I watched a girl bitch and moan to her mom until her mom called the private school to arrange making a donation if they moved assigned seats in classes so the girl could sit beside her friends. Ex-girlfriend's friend said to me, "Can you believe there are people who have never been on a private jet?" Oh yeah, I'm one of them. A girl in my school was surprised by her parents in the school's parking lot with a new BMW. A freaking BMW. Everyone who is out is basically watching this go down and she starts crying. At first we are all thinking it's because she's so happy, but then she runs back into the school. Apparently they were supposed to show up earlier. I'm assuming when there would be more students to witness the surprise. I felt bad for the dad because he looked totally embarrassed and sad about it. You know, in his head he's like, I created this monster. Friend of mine got angry at a game when I was a kid and threw his console down some stairs. His parents went right out and got him a new one. My parents probably would have made me eat the thing if I acted like that. I knew someone who goes out of the country just to have a haircut. GF family is wealthy, she's working her way to it. But she was waiting to get a chance for a promotion and the words "I cannot believe anyone would make somebody work for almost a year to get a promotion" came out of her mouth, and I laughed. I lived with my parents until I was 24 so I could go into the world on my own debt free. Stayed so I could literally spend every cent I made on paying off school debt. I was at a bar talking with a girl who was about 23 at the time, and we were enjoying each other's company. Until she asked where I lived. I explained to her and she was put off. She started bragging about how she lives on her own and that it's pretty pathetic how I am not independent, her friends agreeing. Turns out she does live on her own, in her parents' guest house. Has everything paid for and doesn't work. I work in a jail. I always love when someone gets arrested and comes and screaming, "Do you know who my dad, mom, grandpa, uncle is?" He'll buy your entire effing jail. It's even better when their dad, mom, grandpa, uncle refuses to come bond them out. A Saudi guy in the UK got in a crash, with light damage to one side of a brand new Mercedes. He called one of his assistants to come get him. Even though the car was fully drivable, my friend rolled up on call with his tow truck and asked the guy where he wanted the Mercedes towed. The guy gave him the keys and said, "Keep it, I don't want it." Sitting in a group discussion in college and one kid whined that his parents were so disadvantaged that they only brought home $500,000 a year. I sat there and kept quiet, because my family only had $30,000 a year. I was only there because of scholarships and financial aid. The worst thing is all of the sympathy this kid got from the other people in class. The school was so proud of their racial diversity, but 95% of the students came from families in the top 1% of income. My friend is a commercial pilot and works for a large company that has a flight department consisting of several jets and turboprop airplanes. The owner's kids and a group of their friends were granted permission to take one of the jets from the central part of the US to the Bahamas. Upon arriving in the Bahamas, they were meeting other friends and getting on a very large yacht for a week. They realized the yacht was equipped with fine dining food, not the type of food they liked. Junk food. They ordered the pilots to fly back through US customs into their hometown in the Midwest. Once there, they had to pick up multiple sides of barbecue ribs, burgers, hot dogs, soda, beer and piles of other junk food and fly back to the Bahamas, and do so within a time frame that still allowed them to leave the yacht on time. It costs roughly $5,000 an hour to operate the jet they were using, and it never even struck the owners as something extreme. Girl I went to high school with got a Mercedes for her 16th birthday. Bitched and moaned about the fact that she didn't get a Lexus because her name was Lexi and she thought it would be so cool for Lexi to drive a Lexus with a custom license plate saying Lexi. Her parents did cave and buy her a Lexus for her 17th birthday. My friend's mom owns a very big oil company and they make close to $3 million a year, and he says he's middle class. When I worked at a gas station in my early 20s, it was the hangout spot for spoiled teens to show off their new cars, try to steal beer, but generally just hang out. In a gas station parking lot, WTF. Anyway, one douche nozzle turned 16 and his parents bought him a brand new sports car. Don't ask me what it was, it just looked really expensive. By the next weekend, he totaled that car, trying to show off and do donuts in the intersection the gas station was on and just slammed right into a pole. He was fine. Car demolished. Where is karma when you need her? Within 2 weeks this asshat already had another brand new car. He would brag about how his parents were so stupid and he is already looking to upgrade when the next model came out. No regard for the money his parents shelled out. No regard for the possible lives he put in jeopardy with his reckless driving. I wanted to throttle him. I went to college with a guy who totaled 5 Mustangs in a year. I don't think he was sober enough to remember any of them. My personal favorite was in college. Kid down the hall from me bought a brand new Fender Stratocaster and played with it for a day and got bored and sold it to me case and all for $20. I still have it and play it 15 years later. It's a great guitar.